The title of my message today is Choices. There is a lot of choices in life, but I'm not just talking about your choice today. Today I'm going to be talking about the past, present, and future of your life, God's choice in the matter, and your choice in the matter. In life, there will be times where God will make some choices for you, and there will also be times where you are forced to make a choice for yourself. So I want to begin with the past. Ooh, it's dirty, ain't it? Oh, the past is dirty and grimy. I know some people keep their doors locked on the memories of their past. See, I bet you hide it from others. Bet you keep it nice and locked away, but inside, it's what really runs your life on a personal level. God's choice is your past has been forgiven. Ephesians 2:8. For by grace you have been saved through faith. And this is not your own doing. It is the gift of God. Too often we hold on to guilt when the only judge that matters isn't holding us against it anymore. Imagine getting before our local judge and being accused of a crime you actually did commit and then getting leniency. None of you here, including me, would stop and tell the judge, you're wrong, I did it, and I should pay the price. As a matter of fact, throw the book at me. See, but when God sits at his throne, we argue with forgiveness all the time. We argue with the verdict he gives all the time. There is a reason he forgave you and wiped that clean. The reason's name is Jesus. He paid the debt that you owe. Again, we refuse to accept a spiritual benefit we'd kill for in the real world. If you woke up tomorrow when someone else had paid your rent, you'd be recreating the Remember the Time music video in your bathroom, having a grand time. There'd be shower water and dust and supplies all over the place because you'd be singing and kicking away. Now, I'm not going to do a dance for you. I'm not going to sing the song, but y'all can picture it. Honestly, though, Christians, you need to get this, so let's all lean in and listen close. Your guilt takes a back seat to God's will. Ooh, there's so many Christians I know that need to hear that. It doesn't matter what you're guilty about. God forgave you. That matters more than your guilt. It doesn't matter if you still feel some type of way about your past. God made the choice that it don't matter to him. In other words, like I tell my kids, the boss has spoken, so maybe you shouldn't. You committed the acts of your past, but let me tell you something. You are embarrassingly underqualified to judge them. You may have been the ones who did them, but you don't got the power to bang the gavel of verdict in your life. So in reality, sometimes we ought to just know our place. You've been forgiven. That was God's choice. It's not your place to argue about it. Now, what is your choice? What choice do you have when your past has been forgiven? You get to choose to discover a new you. And not some silly little new year, new me, but an actual, real, tangible chance that you've been given to make a new chapter in your book. Not only a new chapter, you get to change the genre. You can go from horror to comedy if you want. You can make it romance. I don't care. Pick the genre and enjoy it. Isaiah 43:18-19. Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. New Christians, if you haven't been told this, you should have been. Your job early on is to start the process of letting go of your past. Strip yourself of any labels that have been put on you. The ones you wore, the ones you put on yourself, the ones society has put on you, strip them all from yourself. Look for the you that God is trying to make you and remove anything that's in the way of God's will and your ability to do it. Now, for more experienced Christians, which is most of us in this building, I ask you, what's new? Are you still wearing the chains God broke all those years ago? It's been long enough. When are you going to move on and into what God has in store for you? We've been made new. So when you keep reattaching yourself to your past and limiting yourself using it, you're carrying luggage that don't got your name on it. And it can't come on the plane anyways. You know, they say Jesus paid a price for you. Well, I'm telling you today, he didn't pay for a carry-on, so leave the baggage behind. Seek the new. Find the things God has in store for you. As God's child, you are free. Free. You used to be a caged bird with nowhere to fly. But God has freed you, and now the sky is your playground. Don't go caging yourself back up. Some folks out there are so ashamed of their past, so traumatized by it, that it's haunting them to this very day. It's like a lingering fog that clouds their vision of the horizon. They came from real dire straits. Some bad things may have been done to them. Some bad things may have been done by them. Either way, they got a bad case of you don't know-itis. And let me tell you what that's like. Well, you don't know what it's like to be me. You don't know what I've been through. Oh, you don't know what it's like to have to deal with what I've got to deal with. See, God knows every painstaking detail of your past. And he made this choice to rescue you from it. He saw you in the muck and mire, and he pulled you out of it. While your circumstance was busy trying to devalue you, God saw so much value in you that he reached into the dirt and grabbed you out of it. He didn't care what was your fault and what wasn't. He didn't go through the details. He didn't want any information. He just wanted you. In your darkest moments, you likely felt alone, empty, solo. All the while, God was fighting for his child. You didn't know it. You didn't know that he was wrestling with demons on your behalf. You didn't know that he had sent things that you didn't see. You didn't know when you felt lonely, it's because he was down the road making a path for you. He left you in the present to give you a future. See, some people lie awake at night praying that it wouldn't break them. Let me tell you a secret. God was making you new anyways. If your storms and problems broke you, that's all right. God was in the process of breaking you anyways. Your past may have been brutal and scary. It might have been dark and overwhelming. God's choice was to rescue you from it. So what's your choice? It's your choice to make it a testimony. You know the cure to you don't know-itis? I discovered the cure, so I get to name it. It's you don't know whatcillin. And it works like this. See, the cure to always talking about your problems, always being tethered to your past, always being limited by what it was you used to do, is to start talking about how good God is. You don't know what I've been through can be changed by you don't know what God did for me. There is an old broken system of hiding your past and trying to be as holy as possible. Oh, we don't talk about that. We got problems, but we don't talk about them. People don't need to know that kind of thing. This is a church. We don't share our dirty laundry here. We don't talk about the things we used to do here. But let me tell you something. That's old and broken because it was never right. And I'm going to tell you another thing. I won't rest in my ministry until I see what's left of that old system destroyed. We've been sitting on our testimony. We've been wasting our ministry. It's crazy to me to think that there are some people who think their shame can outshine God's glory. God set you free so you could be a beacon of hope to people who are suffering just like you. If you pretend you had to be perfect, then non-believers will think they do. And they'll never come. And even if they do, they may as well not. See, because a church that makes Christianity about your behavior and not God's glory is missing the point. You're missing the point. It's not about you, it's about him. It's not about the fact that you're dirty, it's the fact that he cleans you up. It's not about the fact that you never made a mistake, it's the fact that he sent a perfect one to make up for your mistakes. And I know sometimes there are other people and other ministers who watch online, so I've got something to say. Preacher to preacher. If you want to get a mic and tell people to be ashamed of what God rescued them from, don't be surprised if I mute the speakers. You're not going to grab a mic and tell people to be ashamed of what God did for them. You're not coming into God's house and telling people that they need to be ashamed of what they used to be. They need to be happy that they're not what they used to be, and the only way to do that is to talk about it. There are two types of testimony in life. I was in need and God provided, and I failed and God got me through it. Both of those require the same ingredients. Our inability to get things done and God's ability to do anything at any time. I'm going to close your past with this thought. Our past is like a torch. Like a torch, your past can be used to burn something to the ground. Or, like a torch, your past can be used as a light to guide other people through the dark. It's up to you how you use it. You've been handed a torch. Don't go burning down everything in your life. Use it to illuminate the path to God and bring others with you. And so we arrive at the present. Oh, that's today, baby. The present has a lot of choice, so bear with me. It's not going to get too long, I promise, all right? I preach like a chef with too many reservations. I feed them quick and send them home. The first thing I'm going to talk about in the present is something some people say is only an emotion. Love. See, God made the choice to call you to love others. And watch how quick this one's going to be. Your choice, you don't got one. You don't got a choice. You don't get to pick the people. You don't get to wait to know them a little more. You can't disqualify people. You can't take a day off from it. What they say or do don't change a thing. You've been called to love everybody. See, Christ gave his body for everybody, and now you gotta love them. Don't let politics get you in trouble now. It doesn't matter how they vote. It doesn't matter if it's Harris or Trump. It doesn't matter what issues they're voting on. None of that matters. It doesn't matter their ethnicity or their age. It doesn't matter the views on world issues. It doesn't matter if they did something wrong. And let me tell you a secret about, since there's an election coming up, some people need to hear this in the house. Politics is not a book in the Bible. It's not. You can't use it to dictate anything in your life, especially not love. You see, the section on love, I'm going to end like this. Take those people out your vocabulary. Just strip it entirely. You can't be trusted to use it. See, God called you to love atheists. God called you to love anarchists. God called you to love Republicans, Democrats, independents. God called you to love pro-choice and pro-lifers. God called you to love the LGBTQ, and no, there's not some special exemption for transgender people. You love them too. God called you to love criminals. God called you to love people with a different wealth, ethnic, or racial background. And the generation below and above has been called to love by you. So, what are we going to do? We're going to love them, ain't we? You see, God made you a light unto the world. That's going to require you to get in some dark places. God don't make mistakes, and a light is made to illuminate. And if you're in a bright place and you illuminate, you're doing nothing. You need to get around some people that you feel a little uncomfortable with, and that's good for you because God is trying to make you love those people. Do you think Jesus always felt comfortable with the people he was loving? No, as a matter of fact, some of them actually stabbed him in the rib cage. I have heard love is not just an emotion, it's a choice. And that's beautiful. And it's true in some regard. But as Christians, I'm going to make it deeper than that today. Love isn't just an emotion. It's not just a choice. It's your duty. And here's another quick one. I'm not even going to spend very much time on this one. God called you to choose joy. What's your choice? You've got to choose joy. You don't got another option. Sorry. These are not really A, B, C, D kind of options. They're the answers in the back of the book options. See, joy should be unanimous a unanimous thing we all do. It should be something that happens to us all the time. It should be synonymous with Christians. You see, your circumstance, your mood, your ideas, they don't matter. Get happy. Get happy. Get happy. Enjoy life. He made it for you. Now, this one here might ruffle some feathers. Not in the future, but right now, God has made a choice to call you to be a part of a church. This dynamic that you're doing faith on your own is A, a trick of the devil, and B, it shows you don't know what you're talking about. You can make arguments about the building and the day we come to the building all day long. I'm not getting into that today. Because the Bible directly calls you to community and holding true to a holy day. It also dictates that there are some who are made to be teachers and some who are made to be students. Well, you got to come to class to get taught, don't you? 99.99 out of 100 times, I don't need church to be saved is code for I don't want to do faith in a way that costs me something. And let's play the game a bit. Let's say you're right about not having to go to church. Are you really doing what you should be doing? Are you getting all of faith, or are you just trying to take the salvation without the sacrifice? I have met 0 people in my life. 0 people in my life. I have heard of 0 people in life. I have imagined 0 people in my life who I could say could stop coming to church and not have their faith and their walk with God hurt by it. See, even if you fall on the other side of the you need church debate than I do, I got to ask you something. As someone who knows the devil wants to pull you away from God, and your entire walk is about making sure you get close to him, do you really think the best way to do that is to condemn church and forego it on your own? You can't teach if you ain't called. You can't be a part of a body if you ain't present. You need community to help you stay on track and to pray for you and to care for you. Here's the truth. You're not disciplined enough to be your own disciple. Your walk will have far more speed bumps and things to take you off track if you're not in church. The commitment and discipline is good for you. God called you to be a part of the body of Christ, a community of believers where you worship together, pray together, minister together, grow together. What's your choice? You can pick them. There's lots of churches. You can pick one. You can pick one. That's it. You don't get to pick to not come. You just got to pick the pastor. You got to pick the people. You got to pick the building. That's your choice. See, when God created you, He created you to worship him, not to choose you first. And worshiping him costs you something sometimes. And also, when God created you, he chose, and this is a big one, I need y'all to listen to this one real tight. He chose to give you specific talents, gifts, and skills. Your choice is to use them in his kingdom for his benefit. Please, please hear me. You may not preach. You may not sing in the worship team. You may not run a ministry, but you and your gifts are every bit as important to the church, this church, the world, and the kingdom of God as the pastors, as the singers, as a ministry leaders. You are important, and your gifts are important. Also, I don't know if you know this about me or not, but I fancy myself a bit of a revolutionary. So I'd love it if we started using gifts in church that historically didn't get used. To me, there's no talent or gift that doesn't matter. We'll find a way to use it. We'll find a way to use it. And if we don't use it in here, I'll find a way to help you use it out there. We're going to maximize your talents. We're going to maximize your skills. We're going to maximize your gifts because that's what we are called to do. Amen. See, maybe you write. Well, start a blog. Or you can contribute to the one we already have at our lovely website. If you are a resident of Flavortown, there's a lot of ways to use food in the kingdom. A lot. And let me say something to the artists out there. We will find a canvas. We will find a canvas. If you paint, if you draw, if you make music, we will find ears and eyes to show it. If you have a talent, we are going to use it for the kingdom of God. And the truth is, there are some people who don't have like performance gifts or talents, but they have a skill set. That's just as important. Those people who are good bookkeepers, the people who are pleasant personalities, the well-organized, those who are called for manual labor, those who have entertainment skills, those who are real good at the behind-the-scenes stuff, those who are the kind of people who always have a smile on their face. Your skill set doesn't have to be something that's performative. It just has to be something that's used, and that's up to you. How much more rewarding would your life be if you used your best assets all the time for a greater purpose than your own benefit? Listen, I can spend all day listing things, but it just comes down to this. Make a choice to ensure the kingdom of God in your church benefits from the things that make you, you. Now for the closing choice of the present day. God made the choice that in your life there will be trials, storms, rainy days, whatever you want to call them. Some people think that Christianity should come with a struggle-free life. And they're right. It does. In heaven. But here on earth, we got to struggle a little bit. Watch my last sermon. I talk a lot about that subject. That's a nice little book there. For anybody who didn't see, just go watch it. I don't know what those are called, but that's a nice little advertisement. It's a plug. That's right. That's a nice little plug. There you go, Jason. I won't re-preach that sermon here today, but I will say this from that sermon. Our life is going to have hard times. There will be things that we don't understand. It will get rough and scary, but you've got to have faith because hard times is how we grow. You see, God made the choice that there's going to be rain. So what's your choice? Plant a seed and buy an umbrella. Somebody ain't getting it. Maybe a lot of people ain't getting it. You see, the rain sucks for everybody in town, except the farmer who's waiting on his crops to get watered. Oh, that's too deep for some people to swim in now. See, life's hardships are ugly and brutal unless you determined ahead of time you're going to give them a purpose. When you see the rain clouds ahead, if you've already planted a crop ready to grow, you don't mind the rain. You're actually looking forward to it. That's what I mean. Make your struggles about your growth. Make your struggles bigger than you. Decide you want to be bigger and better than you are, and let the rains come water the seeds you buried. So someday, a purpose blooms. Decide I'm going to get myself off of drugs. And when hardships comes your way, you have direction for them. It's to make you stronger, to give you an opportunity to show yourself that you can find comfort in God and not substance. That's a good one. So many people need that. Not just people with addictive personalities who are fighting and struggling with the disease that is addiction. So many people in life just need that. They need to be told that you can rely on God and not yourself. Decide your marriage is going to get better, and then when challenges come, you get to choose love, each other, God, and then you get to bloom into the husband and wife you want to be. That's what I mean. Plant a seed. Decide before the rain comes that you got something that needs watering. And then when the clouds are overhead, you can smile. Now, what do I mean by buy an umbrella? What do I mean by that? I mean toughen up. Don't go running away every time. Don't just go seeking dry land. Stay in the rain. It's beautiful. Don't miss it. Choose to be covered by faith and your local church. That's your umbrella. That's your umbrella. So when the storms come, you don't got to be afraid to get a little rain on you. See, I'm going through hard times, but my church has got me, and God has got me. Oh, the doctor's report should be coming in. My church has been praying, and God's will be done. That's an umbrella. So when the storms of life come over you, your head ain't getting wet because you've got a protector in your people, in your community. You are connected to people who are praying for you constantly, whose cup, when it overfills, sometimes falls in your cup. See, it's good to be a part of a body of believers because they are your umbrella. Oh, the bills don't look too good this month. I know my church is there for me. And the pastor told me God provides. We've been fighting so much, I'm getting scared. Maybe we're heading for divorce. I need to talk to my church family, and me and my wife need prayer. I'm trying to get sober, and it's so hard. Your church has resources, and I know the other members of the church are rooting for you. You can do this. God is going to give you strength. That's your umbrella. Get yourself an idea that you're going to grow, and then find a community of people who will help you get just the right amount of rain on you. And that way you can grow. You can grow in safety. You can grow in peace. And when things happen to you, you know you're not alone. And when we all get to talking about what we've been through, then we all know we've probably all been through it. And everybody here knows that we can rely on each other. Everybody here knows that we can trust each other. Everybody here knows that we love each other. And how much do you need to have reliable people you can love and trust in your life? You're not made to be solo. And the future is here. I'm going to close with it. It'll be real short, but it's going to be real sweet. Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. The future is scary. You know, they say the only true fear is the unknown, and the future is all unknown to the world. But you know the future. You know God has been doing things for you in the future. The future shouldn't be scary. When you look at the future, it's okay to have a little concern. That's natural. But don't be alarmed by the future. God's been ahead of you the whole time. God has made your paths clear. What I want you to know about the future is two things. You have two choices, God's choice and yours. And I'm not going to say anything else. After that, I'm going to hand the microphone to Pastor Avery and we're going to close, so be prepared for it. Don't miss it. Well, about your future, God chose to give you a future. He chose to make a future for you. And what's your choice? You got to trust him.